Okay, so uh, it was somewhere in January, about two years ago. I was driving to my father's house because my he's like I got invited to dinner with my father, and it's not a thing I typically attend to, but I was like, yep, sure, I got nothing to do. I'm gonna go hang out with my dad. And I get my car. It was like a 2006 Pontiac something. I don't fucking. And so here's the conditions I was dealing with. It was dark. It was night because it was winter, so it was dark early. It had just snowed a ton, and the snow was melting. I'm speeding, and I'm approaching a corner. As I'm speeding, listening to my music and doing my own thing, I see a sign whiz past. It says high water. I'm like, oh, there's a bridge up ahead
High
that
water.
floods every once in a while. Hi, water. Nice to see you go. There's a bridge up ahead, and I knew that it floods every once in a while. Like, okay, I was like, I'm gonna slow down within the next mile. And as I'm coming around this corner, I skip like a fucking rock. And there's no road in front of me. It is just like a slick sheet of still black water, as it had come up like maybe 5 feet over the road. And I got my hands on the steering wheel, and I'm like slowly gliding forward as this car is sinking deeper and deeper into the water. And I'm like, fuck. There's water now filling in the feet around my feet in the car. The water level's rising up the fucking windows, and I just panicked really, really well for the situation. I actually did quite well for myself. I ripped the keys out of the ignition, grabbed my wallet, grabbed my phone, grabbed my charger, stuffed it all into one pocket, put my back against the door and my feet against the armrest, shoved just enough for my scrawny ass to crawl up between the roof of the car and the door, and I just kind of slithered up, and I climbed and I clambered on top of my car as the car came to a rest on the actual pavement of the road, with maybe a foot to spare as I'm sitting on the roof of my car in the middle of fucking January with no actual winter clothes on, and I just sat there in the still quiet. And I thought to myself, I wonder if this car's totaled.
What was the song you were listening to? Do you
I don't
remember?
remember. I don't.
Oh. What happened? Think we lagged. Uh oh.
Are we there? The game froze up a little bit. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, we're good. Okay. So I'm sitting on top of my car. And of course, naturally, the first thought going through my head is like, I should call somebody. I gotta let somebody know. So I pull out my phone and I'm like, well, the car's not sinking, so I guess I'm okay. So I text my dad and my grandmother and my stepmother, and I just sent out a few texts, just like, and they all start out with like, I'm fine. Car is in water, and I copied and pasted and just pasted send, paste send, paste send to this number of people, just as like an SOS out there. And then I'm like, well, I should probably call the police, but I guess it was absolutely the shock going through my head at that moment because I was like, is this really an emergency anymore? Is it really an emergency? Because I'm no longer necessarily actively in danger. I'm just sort of in the dangerous. I'm just stuck.
And you're kind of
I googled.
stuck in winter.
I just googled. All right, what road is this? What road am I on? Okay, call the non-emergency line. Sat there for a second. They finally pick up. Hello, blah blah blah. Sheriff's office, whatever. And I'm
I'm
like, hey,
trapped.
I don't know if this counts. I don't know if this counts as an emergency or not. But, and I knew it that thinking back at it, that person's reaction was probably just a complete, oh dear fuck god. Um, and I explained where I'm at. I'm like, okay, my car is in the water. No, it's not. It's not actively sinking. It's completely still. The water is still. Nothing's moving. And I can tell their tone of voice changed, which makes me think now that they were freaking out, but I really wasn't because I was too busy being I was too busy being in shock to worry about it. So they're like, okay, well, we're gonna send a sheriff to your location. And at that point, I knew my family was coming, and all this and that. And I get to my dad's. At the time, he had this loud ass car, so I could just hear the roar of this engine as it's coming up the road, making its way around to me on like the safe side. And I'm just embarrassed as hell sitting there. And at some point over the next maybe hour of sitting in this weird spot, I hear the screeching of tires behind me, and the
Oh, no.
headlights swinging around the corner. And I turn around, and this car screeches to a halt with the front of it in the water. They quickly kind of like put it in reverse and slowly back it out. They had seen my car and managed to stop in time. They saw my car and went, "Oh shit, there's something wrong."
You saved somebody.
The car stops, and now I'm sitting on top of the roof of my car with the headlights on me, and I'm just like, "Oh dear fucking god, no!"
Cars in the water.
And I
LOL.
hear-
Post.
I hear a door open, and this old guy steps out. Hey, you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. Do you need help? Help's on its way. Oh, okay. Good luck. And he gets back in his car and he puts it in reverse and just
Slowly
kind of
backs it.
slowly backs away.
Well, okay then.
And I'm like, okay, just leave me to this hell alone where I don't have to talk to anyone about this. And finally my grandpa and my dad show up with his old ass pickup truck. And they managed to like back it up far enough in the water, basically creating like a checkpoint so we don't have to go through the freezing fucking cold water the whole way. And my dad, eventually the plan was just like, okay, my dad got a pair of like huge waterproof boots, and he had his own pair, and he got me a pair, so he comes out in the water with his big waterproof boots. He's an electrician, he's got all sorts of fucking gear like that. And he hands me a pair, and I put them on, I'm like leaving my boots on, whatever shoes I was wearing, because they were soaked and nasty, so I left them on my car. And I get in the water, and we're kind of like hobbling back. And he hasn't said anything yet. He hasn't said anything aside from like, "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" And I went, "No, I'm fine." He's like, "Okay." So this is like, this is me just in a moment of shame. I am wearing a cone of shame. And we get to the shore, like we get to the car, and we get up on like the beach that is now created there. My dad and I are looking out at the car as its electronics are fucked up. And the peak of my comedy career, we're sitting on the edge of the water. I'm watching my car's electronics die, and I reach in my pocket and pull out my keys and I press the lock key, and we hear one last hittable beep beep from the car.
Beep beep.
So now my dad and I are fucking laughing. We are both laughing our asses off because this is just such a bizarre
I accidentally fucking walked on
thing. And the sheriff fucking shows up. Like as we're laughing our asses off, we hear the woo of this sheriff's car slowly rolling up, and he takes our statement. And I get myself dried off and get myself in a better state. Some warm clothes, and finally I just had like a complete shell shock, shutdown moment where there was like I had been laughing. I had been laughing the entire time, and now it was like, oh man, I just about fucking died. Wow. What do you do about that, huh?
So you had a near-death experience.
Yeah, no, it absolutely could have been. Here's what I was thinking about is that I'm not a healthy individual. I'm like super thin and kind of wiry, and I'm toned enough to not be anorexic or anything. But my thought process was like, if I fell into that water, or if the suction, if like the water pressure of the door kept me from opening it, because that was the thought going through my head, is like, the water gets high enough, I'm gonna have to move a lot of water to open this door, and I'm currently being flooded in with freezing cold water. That's a death sentence right there. Like, shock hits me, and if I freak out or I get too cold, and then I sat on that roof of that car for about an hour afterwards, I could have been so absolutely screwed right then and there.
Yeah, for the
And-
climate, the weather, the wind. Just
And of course I'm
prolonged
wearing
exposure.
like, I guess you can't. Like, I don't have a frame of
Did
reference.
you
but
just
the
try to
turtleneck
show
on my
me?
shirt.
Okay, did
I
you just
did.
try to show me?
I'm still just a little warm and I'm still just a little warm and toasty. So you're gonna forgive me for that one. But I looked down and was like, oh man, I can't show him the shirt I'm wearing. But yeah, I was affected effectively wearing a turtleneck, in the fucking 20 degrees outside, and I was so screwed. Had
Wow.
it not been for just either like my ability to freak out and put that panic into a good put it to good use, and just got the fuck out of there as soon as I could. And the car was totaled. Car was fucked. It just drowned. Like all the electronics were screwed, and we ended up just selling for scrap. But to this day, I still have trouble driving in certain conditions. Like if there's snow on the road, or if I'm going up and down a bunch of hills and stuff, I just absolutely can't. I can't do it anymore. It's that
It's a traumatic event.
just. Yeah, no, it was a traumatic event. It was absolutely one of several. But yeah, in a sense, I love telling the story though, because I thought it was hilarious at the time. I was laughing when I called the sheriff's office. I was in tears, laughing when my dad waded out into the water to come get my dumbass. I was giggling at him the whole time, and he's looking
You
at
were
me like
delirious.
this fucking idiot. I was delirious, and I thought it was hysterical at the time. And looking back, I still do, but I love telling the story just because it's so unique. You know, who else can say that they sank in a car and pulled the tail? I'm not proud of myself. It was actually very stupid. And
Well, I'm
here's the
happy
best
you're
part.
around.
There's a sign because of me. There's a new sign on that road that has a solar panel and a water gauge, so that no one ever has to deal with that again.
You're saving people now.
I am
High five.
the reason.
For safety.
I am the reason that there is a safety sign somewhere, and that puts a smile on my face.
Nice. Oh my god. I have a near-death experience.